I'm going on holiday to Prague and it's going to be very, very chilly, and I want to crochet myself some accessories. I'm thinking maybe like a balaclava or a snood, some hats, maybe some arm warmers, some leg warmers, that sort of thing. I have a bunch of amazing yarn that I don't have quite enough of to make a wearable in, or maybe it's like offcuts or just scrap yarn, and I really want to utilize that and put that towards making these cute little winter accessories. Also, if you enjoy crochet stuff like this, my name is Rajan, aka Not Half Bad Crochet, and I do post a lot of vlogs, a lot of day in the lives, a lot of tutorials on my account here. So feel free to give me a little subscribe and maybe drop me a comment, let me know what you think, and obviously give this video a like. So like I mentioned, I have a bunch of kind of scrap-ish yarn that I have lying around, some really beautiful, beautiful yarn, and this is kind of my plan, my POA. So I'm starting off with this really beautiful Sadar jewel spun yarn. This was actually sent to me by one of my followers because I was banging on about how much I love the Sadar jewel spun yarn, and they were asking if I had used the wool version, which is actually a chunky version, which I had not. They mentioned they had like a spare skein and sent me this, which was very, very sweet of them. They didn't let me pay as well for postage or for the yarn. It was very, very sweet of them. So they sent me basically this whole skein, a little kind of mini skein of the same colour, and then another colour in the same, you know, yarn type. But with this yarn, I want to make myself a balaclava or like a snood basically. My only issue is that I don't really like stuff that kind of makes my hair like stick to my neck, you know, like sometimes I always want to lift out my hair from a scarf or from a hood of some kind. So what I'm thinking is making just like a really loose and quite baggy balaclava or snood with this yarn. This is, like I said, the Sadar jewel spun yarn. It's the one with wool and it's in the shade Precious. It's a really beautiful colorway, a really unique and interesting colorway actually, with this kind of orange, this light blue, there's kind of some darker shades in there as well. It's really, really lovely, and not necessarily something I would have picked myself, but I'm really glad to have it, and I'm really looking forward to kind of finally putting this to good use, because as grateful as I was to receive it, I didn't really know what to make with it, but I feel like the balaclava is the perfect thing. Staying on the Sadar jewel spun yarn hype, this was actually some leftover from a sweater that I made. This is the kind of just the average jewel spun yarn, and it's in the shade Sunset Amber. It's a really beautiful colorway. It's got like some dark reds, some oranges, some kind of like burnt darker orange, like some kind of brownish sort of shades, and I really want to make myself a beanie with this, or maybe just like a hat in general, because I'm not really a beanie person and I don't think I particularly suit them. But what I'm thinking is almost a bucket hat, but not a bucket hat. So basically a hat that covers my head but with a little kind of frilly moment, maybe. That's what I'm thinking. So that's the potential project for this yarn. And then we have this yarn, which I actually got from a charity shop, if you can believe. It's the Concept by Katia Merino Fine yarn, and it's a merino wool. It's absolutely beautiful. When I got this from the charity shop, I think there was maybe about 15 skeins, 14, 15 skeins, and I actually made a t-shirt out of this. But I washed it according to the yarn label in the washing machine, and it shrunk, and it is to this day one of the saddest things that has ever happened to me in crochet. I was distraught because that t-shirt fit me so well. You know when you make something and you're like, oh my god, the fit, perfect. That was what that t-shirt was, and it shrunk, and I was devastated. But I had this amount left over, so I was like, well, I can't make another t-shirt with less than 100 grams of yarn. So I have this. But anyway, I want to make myself some kind of leg warmers with this, because I don't really know what I'm going to be wearing in Prague yet, but I know that I'm going to be wearing these kind of like ankle boots, like Chelsea boots sort of thing, and I probably will want to have my legs a little bit warmer. So yeah, so I'm thinking some basic casual leg warmers with this yarn. I'm really looking forward to going to Prague. I haven't been somewhere where it's super cold in quite a long time. I think we booked this like at the beginning of the year, and we predominantly wanted to go for kind of the Christmas markets and just like, you know, the wintry sort of vibe. I have never been to Prague. My partner has been to Prague for like, I think he was passing through, so it's quite exciting for us to both be going to essentially like a new location together. But yeah, that's kind of what's on the agenda, so I'm gonna get cracking. could see, I was on the train crocheting. I had to go up north to Manchester for like a work thing, and I had maybe about 3.5 hours worth of like train journey time for me to crochet. And I usually bring a crochet project with me when I'm on a long train journey, just so it keeps my mind and my hands a little bit busy and it's not as boring. I decided to start on the balaclava, and I had the worst train journey ever. We had Storm Bert wherever, throughout basically the entire middle of England, and it just messed up all of my trains. I was going from the south to obviously the north to Manchester, and yeah, it was horrific. I had 2 trains that I needed to catch. Both of them were either cancelled or like severely delayed, and then they were cancelling trains left, right and centre. I finally managed to like get on a train that was going to Manchester, but it took like well over an hour of extra delays. So what should have been maybe about 3.5 hours worth of a journey turned into about 5 hours. So I finished the balaclava on the train journey. I'm sorry I didn't get any more footage than this terrible footage that was on the train, but that was as good as it was gonna get. It was truly a horrific journey. Coming home was not much easier, but I finished the balaclava on the journey to Manchester. So let me show you what it looks like. This yarn, oh my god, before I left my journey, I was like, okay, let me do like this foundation chain and just make sure that I've kind of got the base of the balaclava ready to go, so that I'm not kind of faffing around with like measurements and blah 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 when I'm sat on a train. So I did that before I got on the train, but I actually ended up doing like 3 rows because I was just like, oh my god, I love all of the color changes in this. So here's just like a little close-up of all of the different colors. It's so beautiful. Like this row in particular, this yarn, this kind of color combination, beautiful. This one is also beautiful. This one is beautiful. I love this kind of like sky blue color, another kind of like yellowy bluish base. That plane is really loud, I'm so sorry. Okay, I think it's leaving, but this is the balaclava. I joined up one side, and the stitch that I just did back loop double crochets, and then every now and again I would do a back loop slip stitch row, just because I think it looks quite cute like that. Balaclava is done. I always need to weave in my ends as well. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about a balaclava, because as I mentioned, I don't really like scarves that kind of trap my hair. I feel like I'm trapped, and so I've only ever really seen balaclavas and snoods that are like, you know, quite fitted and quite tight. And whilst this one is fitted, it's not super loose and baggy, because obviously like I still want it to keep me warm, it doesn't feel stressful to me. I think because I kept the base, like where I kind of joined up the base, like the neck part, I actually kept it quite short, so I have quite a lot of space from kind of like the bottom of my chin over my head, which I actually really like. I do think this would benefit from a wash, or like a block, basically like a wet block. So I think I'll probably do that before I head off for my holiday, because I think structurally it's good, but obviously where I've kind of given myself a wider space for the head hole, face hole, it's a bit wobbly, I guess. It's kind of like not as structured as I'd like, and obviously I want nice drape, which I think I have achieved, but I don't want it to kind of look like bumpy, if that makes sense. Balaclava is finished and I really love it. I think it's turned out so cute and I cannot wait to wear this. Actually, I'm really excited. And then on the journey home, I did again have some delays. They weren't as severe, and I think because I was coming home in the evening on a Monday, it was a little bit better. I think my train was delayed by maybe about 40 minutes, so it wasn't too bad, but it was still annoying because I still got home at like 11:30 or quite late basically. And whilst I was on that train, I did crochet myself my leg warmers out of the charity shop yarn that I got, the Katia merino wool. It's super wash, and I did my leg warmers. I did this one first, and honestly I haven't tried them on yet. I was kind of basing it because obviously I'm on a moving train. I based it off of like my wrists, my hands, and I kind of, obviously I did a ribbed stitch. I just kind of tested the stretch because I do want them to be fitted to obviously keep the warmth in, but I don't want them to be tight that it's like cutting off my circulation, you know. So I think this is a good kind of amount of stretch. I also did the second one, but because I can't count, I actually made this one bigger by accident. So you can kind of see this one's a little bit wider, but I can just frog those extra rows. I think I did like 2 or 3 extra rows by accident. But here is the leg warmers. I just did a half double crochet, back loop only, rib stitch, and then I just chained the length that I wanted. I, you know, crocheted the rows, and then I just joined it, and that's a leg warmer. That's how easy it is. So if you want to make your own, that's how you make your own. I was thinking of maybe doing like sewing through some, like a chain, and then I can put like a little bow on it, but I'm not sure if I can be bothered to do that, but that's an idea, maybe. But I think these have turned out really, really cute. I actually struggled a little bit to crochet with this on the train because obviously it's such a fine yarn. I was using a 3mm hook. It's also quite dark, and I was coming home in the dark. Obviously the train has lights and stuff on it, but I had this really awful man come and sit next to me who was manspreading so much to the point where he was actually physically hurting me and trying to shove me out of the way. I'm a big person, you know, I'm not exactly small, and I will not be shrinking myself for anybody else, and I think that annoyed him, so then he kind of got a bit more violent with his movements to move me out of the way. He did eventually move out of the way, but it was about an hour on my train of him trying to like fucking elbow me, but it's fine. It's okay. But yeah, it was a little bit challenging, I think, just mainly because of that, but once I had a little bit more space after he'd moved, it was fine. But yeah, so that was my only kind of issue, I guess, and that was out of my control. But I think these have turned out really, really cute. I'm gonna do like a proper try on and put them over my boots that I plan on wearing on holiday. And even if I don't wear these again as leg warmers, which I think I will, because they're just such a like, do you know what I mean? They're kind of such a neutral colour, something that I can implement very easily into my wardrobe. But even if I don't wear them as leg warmers, I think they look really cute as an arm warmer, especially if I'm wearing something quite dark. I think these are really cute. I love like a kind of glove or an arm warmer that covers like the hand like this. I think it just looks really cute and like very chic. Obviously not what I'm wearing, but you get the vibe, you get the vibe. So those are the 2 that I've done so far. Bless you. I think my neighbour's kids are outside. But yeah, so these are the 2 that I've done so far, and then I will be doing the hat of some kind. Not quite sure what that will be yet, but I got these done in 2 days, and that was because I was on a train. So I'm not kind of concerned that I won't be getting it done on time before my holiday. I think I'll have plenty of time. So that's my update. Okay, so as you saw, I did start making a bucket hat, but I went outside. It makes it sound like I don't go outside, but I do. I went outside yesterday and the day before, and I was out and about in the evening as well, and oh my god, it is cold. It is so cold. Like, even in my big coat with a big jumper, I was freezing cold. So I was gonna make a bucket hat because I feel like it would keep me a little bit warm and it would also look cute, but I've decided to just make a beanie because I need to be as warm as humanly possible, and I don't think the bucket hat is gonna cover it. So I'm using the Sadar Sunset Amber dual spun yarn, and I'm just doing a half double crochet in the back loop only to do a little beanie. And I absolutely love this colorway. It's perfectly named Sunstone Amber or Sunset Amber, something like that, but it really is a very just such a unique color palette. It's got some oranges, some reds, there's some creams, some kind of like brownish tones, some just so many different shades of orange, red, and like a little kind of pinkiness to it. But this is how far I've got. I actually fly out in like 2 days, and I did this like yesterday evening, so only in like a couple hours, so I reckon I'll finish it today. I might not be able to weave in all the ends, but I'm gonna try. So this is how far I've gotten, and that's my update. I finished it. It has turned out so good. This is probably like the best beanie that I've, like this is the most beanie-ish beanie I've ever made. Like this is like picture perfect beanie, you know? But the yarn has worked up beautifully. I just love this colorway. Like this colorway could absolutely do no wrong. So very basic beanie. I just did half double crochet in the back loop only, connected it so it forms a tube, and then cinched in the top, and then obviously just rolled up the cuff on this side. And it fits really, really nicely. I'm not going to put it on because I did just wash my hair and I don't want to kind of fluff it up, but it fits me really, really well. Because I always struggle with beanies, and I think that's maybe why I don't wear them, that they're either really long or they're quite short. Like they've never really kind of fit me properly, or like fit me the way that I want them to, because I still want them to cover my ears, but I don't want them to be like really far down on my forehead because I have quite a short forehead. But this is perfect because I made it myself. And then I did have a little bit of the yarn left over, so I kind of made this like, I don't know, like a cowl, I guess. I'm unsure about how I feel about it, but I think I'll still take it with me. Part of me is tempted to make it a little bit smaller because I think like, obviously it's quite kind of baggy, which is good because I don't like things being quite tight around my neck, but part of me is thinking if it's just a little bit more fitted, not super tight, a little bit more fitted, it won't kind of feel as gapey here. But I can kind of faff around with that whilst I'm on my journey or whatever. I'm not too bothered about that. I'm obviously typically like a crochet wearables kind of person, and because I don't really wear winter accessories because I get quite warm quite quickly, like I'm very rarely outside in the cold for long periods of time. I'm usually like getting on a tube or a train or like going in somewhere, you know, so I think it's quite nice to be able to crochet myself some accessories, especially with yarn that I love but that like I don't have enough for a wearable, so it feels nice. Those are all of the crochet accessories that I've decided to make for my holiday to Prague. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a little like and drop me a comment if you liked any of the accessories I made. Obviously subscribe to my channel. I do have a lot of vlogs and day in the lives and tutorials, all things to do with crochet. But yeah, that's everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully catch you on the next video.